Okay, we are back. Hopefully, actually finish the series. I had to take like a little small break this week just because I had school and stuff. Um, Before we dive right into the Sultai, I'm assuming you watched the last couple of videos. Before we dive right into the Sultai, one thing I did want to one thing I did think about and notice was that I was talking about some of the shape motifs and some of the the clans. Or are they? I keep calling them clan. Okay, anyway, and some of the factions. The Abzan, noticeably, they have like a diamond motif. It's obvious like here. Because I don't know if you noticed, but the idea is that basically they represent the like toughness of a dragon, and they do that by taking like reference to dragons like tough scales. So if you look at the design, one thing I didn't bring up though is they have like a lot of diamond like scale motifs everywhere. They love using diamond scale motifs, and the like even here they love like the triangular diamond or diamond shaped motifs. Even here there's one hidden in the tree right here. Actually, like several of like the scale motif. And then even the dragons have really pronounced scales. And then you have the Jeskai, and I point out there's kind of like a circular motion going on. Like they love like there's like circles and swirls. Like almost everything's like I said, this guy's like a ripple effect. What this might be based on, it might be based on the symbol of the Jeskai, which is the eye of the dragon. So the idea might be that circles represent sort of like the eye of the dragon. So you can see that in the magic here. There's a lot more like circular shapes. Even with even here, he's using a lot of circles. Even here, this character has like a lot of circles. So the idea might be that I point out here that like the stair, like this cloud's combined with this to form like kind of like a circle with this person in the center. So the idea might be that represents the eye. So they sort of like have some sort of insight or like knowledge about the world that others may lack. Um, that's all I really had to add. So I guess I'll be on the lookout for more like shape language. So the Sultai definitely had the biggest glow up here. I'm just gonna open Scryfall now because we're gonna. Okay, this even this rhino has like the diamond motif, and the parry on the way has like little circles here. Anyway, so also we got some Edge of Eternity's news. I'm kind of excited. I'm a little bit okay. I'm in two minds of this because part of me is like disappointed in the fact because I was working on a science fantasy plane, Magic the Gathering fan plane, and now I have to ask myself if this comes out, will it be too similar to my plan? Should I just scrap my plan idea? Because um, they might just be too similar, but we'll see. I'll probably just lean to more having an Afro features vibe for mine. But so here the Sultai definitely had the biggest glow up because the Sultai they were basically just pure evil. Like they were kind of like just scheming like assholes. Like you Sultai were like that one of those factions is really they're a really cool faction, but not because you want to be a part of them. Like being a part of the Sultai would actually probably be fucking miserable because you probably get like stabbed in the back like every other day. Um so like look like this looks like let's just get Sultai Ascendancy. But I assume this is the art for the new Ascendancy. So these look like more like like there's shadows over them. Like they look more shady. Like they're like in like some weird swamp filled with fog. Like if you saw these guys walking by, you'd be like, I don't want to fuck with these guys. But these guys look like they could. I should probably just delete that. But these guys look like they could probably just like at least like you know look affable if they wanted to. The dragon here is already interesting because this dragon's more in the foreground. Like all the other dragons we've seen so far, they're kind of for the corresponding art for each clan. They kind of seem like they're like they're like look, this one's all wispy and less detailed, like it's in the background, and then this one, if we go to Abzan, it's the same thing. It's like, well, I went way too high. If we go to Abzan, it's the same thing. Well, I mean, this one's less wispy, but it's obviously in the background. Where's the artist? You get Corglue, who's the So most likely it's just because they're all handled by different artists. Like normally, if this was handled by the same artist, I might say, oh, this is to show that the dragon is more like um more direct and not just like a background of like the clan and taking more direct role. But I think it's just because of different artists, they have different like ways of handling the composition. So this is Christie's way of showing, or what's the official way? Should I go with like Balanescu? I don't want to sound professional, but um this is the way of like showing. The artists have different ways of showing like the dragon's influence. This one's more serpentine, probably just because the Sultai have a snake motif, like which you can see here. I didn't know they had Aven. Have they always had Aven? Anyway, I mean, not much to say. Like, their shape motif is a fang, so I mean, you can kind of see it a little bit with like how their thing kind of like points down. Like the absent have a diamond. This one kind of there's kind of like curves into a point though, and this one obviously is just like a snake coming out, like a snake blade that's supposed to like reference a fang. So I guess, and here we have like the curve. So I guess we're noticing a motif like there's a lot of curved shapes, more curved shape of the Sultai. Where the absent are like straight diamonds, like straight, like tough, durable diamonds that can like resist. Where they have this motif, and the Jeskai have a circle motif. Then this is like a more. They have like a the Sultai have a similar motif to the Abzan, but what sets it apart is it's more of a curved shape. And sometimes the curve isn't just like on the bits of armor. Sometimes it's not like just like this. It's more like this. So they have a more rounded shape. Um, and also the Sultai definitely have the biggest glow up because like in the previous blocks they were just like evil McSchemerson, but now they seem actually presentable. The, considering how they handle the Jeskai, they give the Jeskai some like actually like negatives or like flaws. It definitely seems like you're trying to go for like a more balanced approach to the different factions here. Or they're trying to make each faction have its both its upsides and its downsides. So it's like more of like if you're a player who wants to get into one, you're like, oh, which one would I actually want to join? Let me think. As opposed to just like, oh, this is this evil faction, this good monk faction, etc., etc. Um, Living in the jungles of Tarkir, the Sultai are adept at transforming challenge into opportunity. They expertly cultivate the land around them, transforming their sprawling jungles into efficient farms and buildings, exquisite cities amidst the dangers of the landscape. So here we already have like a new view on the Sultai, where like it's more emphasizing more the resourcefulness. Like before, just kind of like it was emphasizing like how much like kind of how much they scheme, but the resourcefulness has always been a part of it. But this time it's emphasizing more in like more like benevolent ways as opposed to just like stab people in the back, turn them into zombies. This definitely feels like a like it's trying to like reference blue, black, and green because blue and black definitely have like an idea of like scheming in the sense that like knowledge is important and that you can change yourself and the world around you to an extent, and then green's like about understanding that world. So it's like with blue, black, you can like change the world around you, and green, you can try to understand or accept the world for as it is, and then change it from there. In the Sultai, not even death can stop the most valuable members of the clan, as their powerful necromancers raise their honored dead to continue to lead and serve. The small but elite forces of Sultai the warriors leverage stealth, terrain knowledge, and espionage to outwit their enemies, maintain their clan's position and power within the plane. So we still have emphasis on like subterfuge. It seems like they seem a little less back right now. They seem a little less backstabby, more like stealthy, but like a little more focused on their enemies as opposed to just fighting amongst each other. And they're referred to as honored, which I think they were honored in the previous Sultai. It's just that a lot of them are also just like sometimes they use zombies or like labor or like expendables. The abundance of fertile ground and expertise of Sultai agriculturists make the clan's food and materials widely desired across the plain. Sultai use trade and diplomacy to their advantage. Maintaining an outwardly positive relationship allows for more subtle forms of subterfuge to strengthen their power and position among the clans. So yeah, we have less emphasis on infighting, more emphasis on like dealing with other clans. But I mean, it's pretty interesting. Like blue black is like no stranger to being represented by like subterfuge, and you could argue like and like especially like the Demir are a good example of like a blue black faction that's like oh, by the way, Sultai are blue black green. How do I put that in Bluebird order? I think it'd be green. It'd be blue green black, or would it be? It'd be black green blue. They're black green blue. So, but you're getting a lot of Demir vibes from this, where like Demir Ravnica vibes from this, where like they pretend like they're like weak or like nicer than they actually are, but they're actually like doing some sort of stealth. The vast network of spies and scouts track the activities of other clans to help Sultai determine their next move, while the highly specialized soldiers of the Sultai use meticulous planning and the terrain to their advantage in conflicts. So the terrain thing feels like a very like green reference because like green. I mean, okay, blue and green both have a terrain motif about turning lands into like creatures. With blue, it's like the idea that you can like change the world around you, so you can change the world to your advantage. With green, it's about like understanding the world and taking advantage of like what's already there, instead of trying to fight against it. Revival of the Sultai. For the humanoids of Solemgar's brood, life was perilous. Their worth measured at the whim of the capricious Dragon Lord. Anger and dissentiment were fomented among the general population. Though the Dragon Lord easily put down the small rebellions, the roots of resistance flourished. The rebels saw the leadership of Solemgar and the past Sultai as a continuation of the same oppression. Wasteful, decadent, and cruel. So this is definitely what I was talking about earlier, where the Sultai were almost like they were like cartoonishly evil. Like they were like the previous Sultai was like, oh, they're wasteful, they're decadent, they're cruel. And it's interesting that this Sultai kind of sees that as like one continuation as opposed to just like there was good Sultai than the dragon. So we have a bit of interesting storytelling with the Sultai here. They want to bring the Sultai back, but like in a new, nicer, less like stressful way where you're not having to worry about getting stabbed in the back every 2 seconds. Um, I mean, also there's also probably some commentary on like racism or something, or but I'm black and I'm not Asian, so a lot of this cultural stuff and like representation flies over my head. So I'm not really going to talk about that for the most part unless it's like really blatant or obvious. Um, they hoarded wealth and destroyed the natural resources of the jungle while ignoring the suffering of the people. Yeah. The rebellion leaders invoked the name of the Sultai as a rallying cry and looked to the clan's origins from before the demonic pacts. In the aftermath of the Phyrexian invasion, the humanoid rebellion was to gain ground, claiming Solumgar as its own. The powerful mages, many trained by dissenting Naga, leveraged necromancy to bring their warriors and leaders back from the dead to bolster their small numbers. These undead were given a place of honor and authority, their knowledge and expertise too valuable to be lost in death. They're empowered, which led to Solumgar's defeat alongside the other Dragon Lords. Hold on, let me drink some tea real quick. So here you have emphasis of the dead being used less like lackeys and more like resources. Like kind of like blue. Like blue is like, oh, knowledge is important, right? And then black's like, we'll do anything to win. So they kind of like turn to the dead to get their knowledge because knowledge is important. And then also you have an emphasis for green tends to have an emphasis on history because green is all about like growth through acceptance. So green is all about accepting the world for as it is instead of trying to fight it. So instead of like trying to like so because of that, it often has an emphasis on history, where it's like if you want to understand the world for as it is, you got to understand what came before. And so here, this is where the dead might come in, where it's like they're like people from the past, and you're basically talking with them. Sultai society. After the previous draconic leadership, many Sultai hesitant to follow a single leader. As a result, power within the Sultai is largely decentralized. The Fangkeeper is considered the ruler of the Sultai, but takes on a minor role in day-to-day life. Their primary responsibilities involve the management of relationships between Sultai villages, acting as a more impartial judge alongside the Spirit Dragon, and managing the standing army of the Sultai and defenses against other clans. Within each village, elected mayors make most decisions alongside a lead necromancer priest who commands respect from the community. So that's pretty interesting in that they're more they're like because the previous Sultai was like obviously like both the Sultai and Solumgar brood were like basically ruled by like one like power hungry person, but now it's like more spread out. There's obviously emphasis on community, which I think is like where the green is coming from. So I think what's just interesting is that we just like a bit of storytelling, obviously with like the color identities. So you have the first they were like shards and they lost an enemy color and they regained it. So you could see that as like the Sultai were blue, black, green, and then they lost their green because the dragon basically was trying to take away their sense of community. And then when they defeated the dragon, they went back to they pushed in the opposite direction of like what existed previously. And in this case, the opposite direction would be community, but like in a green way as opposed to like more of a white way. Green and white do overlap a lot in community. The reason why green has emphasis on community is green's like the idea that you should accept the world for as it is, which means everyone has a place in the world basically. So like everyone has a place in the community. Um, so here we have definitely someone's gonna want to like ship themselves with this. Once again, we have a lot of the fang shapes, like the curved triangles and diamonds around. Even this is interesting because the background's shaped almost like a spiral, like it's coming out at us, and it's almost like not exactly, but in the way it's like framed. Like clearly this is the frame, like the foreground, and then you have this person in the jungle, but like basically jumping you. And we have a lot of triangular shapes, like even on the end of the capes. Once again, we have like I guess we have less color coding here. Like I said, Magic the Gathering loves color coding, so purple has a representation for black, then like turquoise for blue and green, and then green. And this person's wearing actual blue. They have like dark feathers. Um, this person just has like blue and green. It seems, but and some, and they're actually taking efforts to make the Sultai look kind of like pretty and not just like half dead zombie people covered in gold. Compared with other clans, the Sultai maintain a smaller standing military force. The Lassid, they are the Lassid is a smaller standing military force. They are highly trained and skilled warriors, experts at fighting in the dense terrain of the jungle and using their adaptability to outmaneuver the larger and less flexible forces of the other clan. So once again, emphasis on adaptability. I think this comes from like blue and black's idea that you can like kind of black's idea that you can control yourself, blue's idea that you can control yourself and the world around you, and then green's like the idea of trying to like understand the world in a way or working or like accepting it. So emphasis on adaptability. Also within the ranks of the Lassid are spies, scouts, and assassins who move nimbly through the plan to ensure the safety and security of Sultai. Well, I'll take another sip of my tea real quick. It's really good shit, bro. Naga are some of the most powerful magic users on the plane, and they are experts at wielding and manipulating life essence to harm and to help. Many villages within the Sultai have a Naga protector, separated from the mayor or lead necromancer. They guard the village surrounding region from threats, both within and outside the clan, passing judgment and punishing in the form of blessings or curses. So the Naga definitely have like a more like they're not like obviously like perfect, but they have a more benevolent role. They're not just like poisonous snake people you don't want to get near. Because I feel like in the past, Naga were definitely like shown in the mostly negative light. Like once the Stormguard took over, it was like a bit more positive because they were like. And this is what I mean by like some of the previous depictions of the undead what I was talking about earlier. Like the undead are like seem to be like honored. Back in the past, some of them were honored, but some of them were just like, like lackeys and like just like to and foot soldiers. And then the now the scaled ones rule Tarkir. So here's an example what I mean. Like the Nagas were definitely more scheming, more like generally just like they're really into the idea of like a like sneaky snake, like would stab you in the back. But they're definitely going for more like a neutral. Like the Nagas aren't just like asshole snake people. Um, I wonder how much of that is cultural consultant about like Nagas and the cultures they're representing, and how much is just like what I said earlier. Clearly they're going for like a more neutral take on like a lot of the clans, including like a lot of the good clans are a little bit like that's perfect, and then the bad clans have like aren't just like mustache twirling evil. Rakshasa demons are shunned in Sultai society, and those who make pact with these demons are exiled or killed. That's a big difference. Okay, because like the previous Sultai, they're all about fucking their deep demonic pacts. So Rakshasa are considered enablers of the cruelty and exploitation of Silumgar and the old Sultai, and they're hated for their role in the Great Traitor Tisagar's betrayal of this ancient Sultai. So yeah, I mean, yeah, so that's an interesting pivot. You could argue see that as like part of the reason they have a green to their identity now, in contrast to the old Sultai, is that this Sultai's green is supposed to represent sort of like a conflict with like maybe the black aligned demons, even though the Sultai also have black in their alignment. We actually do. So yeah, so the guy they're talking about, what's his name? Tassigar. He's the guy around this dragon's neck. He basically tried to make a deal with the dragon. The dragon basically fucked him over, and like it is what it is. I wonder if he has his own card. Oh, let's see. The cruelest form teacher leaving no mark upon the flesh. So yeah, basically, he's a lot paler than I remember. Basically, try to make a deal with the dragon. Dragon said, fuck you, and wore him like a necklace. Daily life. Civilians within the Sultai live primarily agrarian lifestyles. Many are farmers and fishers who sustain the clan and provide goods for experts. Artists and craft people are highly respected within the clan, including shipwrights, weavers, and smiths. A small but powerful merchant class, the Panjazi, sell these goods and materials to other clans and often act as spies as part of a larger Sultai information network. So once again, just like with the Jessica, we're getting more like emphasis and an extrapolation on like the citizens, like the normal people. Because I don't remember Sultai really like I couldn't really tell you like about like their daily life out in the previous Sultai. They just lived in the jungle and like hung around with zombies. I don't really know where they got their food from. I probably would have just assumed they stole it. I don't know, but like clearly here they have like they're just talking about how it's actually able to sustain itself. The shipwrights blue often has a connection to ships because like a connection to water and wind. And then weavers and smiths, like blue often has connection because these are artifacts like artifice and changing the world around you, and also water because water and air tend to be elements associated with the mind and classical like Greek like four element system, which is like water, wind, earth, and fire. Panjasi seems like they're like probably like the more like the leaning to the black alignment, like the idea of Black's idea of like wanting more money and power, but also like I think as like an information network. We have more Sultai. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm not sure if this is supposed to be like a triangular shape. Like I was talking about the fang shapes. This could just be leaning in a way towards us, but I think this is like the idea is supposed to be like the fang shape that Sultai usually use. And here it is on the knife. Obviously there's like a snake motif too. They have like rounded circles. They have rounded scales. Like in contrast to the absence like diamond scales, they have more rounded shapes. And once again, you can even see on the buildings here like more rounded shapes than the Sultai than the Abzan, and even the hook itself. I guess if you want to be, but here we have fishing. It's really nice art, and we even have like a lot of curving, like even here. And then obviously the ship is the focus. These guys in the foreground, and then distance more faded because it's covered by like fog, and also like distance makes it a little bit more blue. But these people are more vibrant. I think there's fish in the water here. Anyway, Agriculture and farmer, both are central to day-to-day life of many Sultai citizens. Their years and days are dedicated by the growing seasons and needs of the crops. The Sultai are known for their pursuit of beauty and elegance within horticulture. I don't know what the fuck is horticulture. Science and art develops. Okay, so they're basically like environmentally friendly. Um, so we have a different take on like the Sultai, where it's like before they were like, because this is one thing that Magic can focus more on. General is like black sort of like resourcefulness and willing to do whatever it takes to like survive, and that includes like maybe sometimes reusing old materials and stuff. So we have this idea of like blue and black's resourcefulness, with like greens care for the environment. Like blue and black's like blue's like I can change the world around me. Black's like I can change myself, and then green's sort of like we got to consider the environment though. So then you have this like sort of horticulture focused thing where it's like blue and black's like sort of like focus on like being clever and like doing whatever it takes, and then green like make sure you consider the environment though, or the world as it is though, and so they invent stuff with like in respects to the way the world is, and with that in consideration. Bringing animals and plants to their aesthetics, such as albino reptiles, brightly plumed birds, and plants of extreme size. So it seems like more of like a black line thing. I don't know, like bringing for like aesthetic. I mean, I guess green. I'm not saying green can't do it, but like just for aesthetic, I don't know. But additionally, they build beautiful gardens and landscapes in their village. So once again, we have more green. It definitely feels like they're putting more emphasis to show the green in their color identity outside of just like, because it feels like the only reason they were in green before is because they were like in a forest basically previously. Like I don't like, at least as far as like some of the flavoring goes. I'm not saying like the cards don't feel green. I'm saying like, oh, they're in a forest so they green. Like, but this one feels like it's actually taking the effort to actually explain like where the green and their philosophy is coming from. Um, Lotus dance. The Sultai have accomplished dancers, highlighting the elegance and grace of Sultai way of life. Large scale performances are popular forms of entertainment, and dance is often incorporated into harvest festivals. Um, so that Hearts and Handcuffs just definitely gives me like a bit more of a black vibe, just because we know that they're heavy in the trading. Um, Agriculture farmer, that tends to be associated with green, not always, but like tends to be associated with green just because magic isn't always subtle, and it's just like green equal plant, I guess. Lotus dance. So we did actually see some lotuses here. So we did see some lotuses here, and I guess what they're going for is like the lotus petals themselves do have like that Sultai shape where it's like up one point and then it kind of curves into like around it, like the way they're framed. Like they have one point and then they're not as like rigid as the Abzan. Um, the Lotus Dance could be blue. Blue does have an association with art if you look at the Prismari, for example, but like blue's all about like perfecting things. So it's like the idea of like perfecting your art. Um, So I could see Lotus Dance being blue. Deuce and boxing and variety sports are communal pastimes for Sultai. For the Sultai, friendly competitions are used as an outlet for individuals' ambitions are competitive. So it's interesting that they still have that like ambition, but they're like it's like in a more healthy way, not just like stabbing your great uncle in the back and turning him into a zombie. Including the popular Deuce and boxing, most commonly matches consist of one-on-one fight without weapons, where both individuals have rope wrapped around their fists or forearms. That still sounds really painful, but I mean, Black's been getting like a lot of boxers lately. Like even with the in Capenna, I believe there was like a couple like tenacious underdog. Um, the abiding harvest. The abiding harvest is the core belief of the Sultai. All living things die. Their essence nourishes the land and enables the next harvest. So definitely like a more like on like a nicer take on like the idea of like life and death, both in like green but also like a little bit of black, where it's just like um the idea that like death, like death can be a resource but also like serves a purpose. And it's just like it's less like be killed just cause. It's more like there's actually like an actual cycle here. After death, a person's life energy is returned to the larger pool of life force in the earth and returns as new life. So for the Sultai, this is not believed to be the exact same person or conscious returning, but rather an essence of energy or energy of a person, like water mixed into a large pool and being poured out. No two cups of water will be the same, and the pool must constantly be refilled or it will run dry. So we kind of have great emphasis on like community and like the bigger picture, where it's like we're all like one ecosystem. And so from what I'm understanding, it's less that like when you reincarnate, like it's just the same soul going by the body. It's like basically it's like a giant pool. If you think of it like a liquid, and then your soul goes into it, which is also liquid, and it just kind of ends up back in the pool, and then it gets poured out somewhere. And bits of it may be in different places because of that. They're not always in the same spot. Um, Raising the dead is done through the sacred rite of renewal. The offering of the deceased is so. like I said earlier, there's definitely like a different treatment of like the dead going on this time, where they're being treated like a lot more nicely. Like just generally being undead seems to be like a sacred thing, as opposed to just like some of the undead are powerful, some of the undead are just like foot thralls. Because like previously, necromancy just kind of means to an end in the Sultai. It's just either to keep yourself alive or to turn other people into like your like foot soldiers. The offering of the deceased is typically done by next of kin or through a will made in life that denotes they should be offered. Under the old regime, raising a person as absibsig had been used as a form of punishment to garner the loyalty of the masses through fear and intimidation. So, like what I said, like a lot of the undead are clearly just like there to like look like fucking horrid. Like I don't mean like horrid like in like just like the artist is like making it horrid, but like they're meant to scare other people, but also like they're kind of like they're not like very like noble per se. They're not like you don't want to be like this thing. They're not like, oh, you want to be undead. Like if you're undead, you got fucked over, or you're trying to do what you can to stay alive. The new Sultai view their practice as symbolic of the cruel and wasteful dissidents of the ruling class, and have outlawed the raising of unwilling individuals. Okay, that's interesting. That's a bit nice. I guess that's where the green comes in, because green is all about like you can't force things. Like black and blue will try to force things to happen philosophically, because they believe like you have like more control. But like green is sort of like you can't force things to happen. Some things are just the way it is. So if someone doesn't want to come back, you can't make them come back. It is what it is. Beloved leaders, skilled artisans, and venerated warriors are the most common people to be returned. Being returned is now viewed as an honor and as a fate many covet as a symbol of their value to the larger Sultai community. So yeah, here we have both like a combination of green, like where you have to be a willing individual, so you can't force someone to do it. It's gotta be it's part of the natural cycle. And they come back as black alignment comes like that the black alignment comes in that they like have like a purpose. They basically have to prove themselves, and if you prove yourself as an individual, then you can be selected coming back. And blue is sort of like the knowledge they provide. The ritual starts with the preparation of a corpse, a meticulous and delicate process involving necromantic magic, alongside specially prepared poultices and serums. The corpse is repaired if needed. Fine prosthetics are made to replace limbs, wounds are sewn up, and other decorative elements may be added. So there's definitely like I said, there's a lot more of like a beauty thing. Like these guys, like they're a bit where are they? These guys are, like a bit bedazzled, but they kind of look like shit. like they're it seems like they're bedazzled more on the way to, like to torture them or show ownership, right? Like this, they're like their eyes are poked out, and they have gold, but mostly just like to flaunt how like rich the person who's using them is. Um, Again, this one's like all torn up. Like you don't like it's just a random animal that they just like they brought back to like fuck with you. Um, so like this is like one of the better looking ones where it's covered in armor. So it definitely seems like they're going for more like a more like appealing or like personable first impression. Like if a Sultai like showed up to like if a Sultai zombie walked up to you, you'd be like, at least you wouldn't be like totally horrified. You'd be like, oh, this is like someone who like takes care of themselves, or someone else takes care of them. The corpse is then dressed in ritual garments and placed on a raft that floats in a bath in a temple. The priest will use the necromantic energy to draw energy back into the body, returning the body to life. However, not all who are offered are successfully returned to the ritual. In these instances, it is believed that individual strength energy are needed to remain in the land. So yeah, once it goes back to like green, where like one they have to choose to do it. You can't force something to do it, and also there's you to still consider the environment. So you can't always fight the environment. You can't like you're not gonna be able to outsmart or like overpower the environment and just bring someone back anyway. Once again, a lot of curved shapes. I mean, some of them ends in points, some of them don't, but I think most of them end in points. Yeah, like you got like kind of like the fang motif here. This one's just like a triangle. We got like kind of like a circle ends in a point. Got like a lot of the lotuses. I assume the lotus, from what I understand, lotuses like often they're symbolic because they're like the idea is like the flower like grows in the bottom of like the muck and then grows into the surface of the water and reaches it. So I guess this is what the idea is here. It's like raising from the dead, coming like reaching life, sort of. Um, Animals may also be raised by necromancers and are given similar respectful treatment. Some exceptions are made for self-preservation. Necromancers are allowed to quickly raise a non-sentient creature for their defense. Okay, so clearly, once again, more respect is being paid to like the zombies. Like if you bring an animal back, like it's kind of like your pet, I guess, or like like your friend. Like you're not just like using it as like just a tool, but it can be used for self-defense, which I guess is where the black alignment comes in, where it's like using necromancy is like a tool to like quickly like defend yourself or it's like overpower something if need be. So there's like a little bit of flexibility offered by the black and blue philosophy there. Um, Sultai and Dead are referred to as Sibsig, and have an honored ritual status with the. Wait, okay, I didn't read that. Honored status within the clan. The returned Sibsig retain sense of self and memories of their life before return. But there remains some questions. If they are wholly the same person, most Sibsig will consider themselves the same individual and continue in the same role, often with an elevated status. Though there are examples of returning individuals having different personalities from whom they were in life, or having memories that do not seem to be their own. Some may pursue entirely different rules in the Sultai the Sultai after the return. So once again, this feels kind of like black and blue's identity of like self, like being like the individual, but then also you have green where like sometimes you get mixed in with like they were talking about reincarnation, or sometimes you get mixed in with like the world or like other souls potentially, and then you come back kind of different. Like your role in the ecosystem has changed. Um, Funeral and burial practices. Funerals are elaborate and festive. A celebration of the life lived is necessary to process grief and let the person's essence return to the earth. Common activities include preparing a feast of the deceased's favorite food and a gifting where the worldly possessions of the deceased are given out according to their will. So yeah, I mean, proper burial is very important among the Sultai. The process is intended to facilitate the deceased body and energy returning to the land and completing the cycle of life and death quickly and efficiently. Bodies not being returned as Sibsig are minimally prepared, wrapped in cloth. They're buried without possessions or of which they have no need in shallowy, watery marshes. So blue and black have connection like marshes, like water, bodies of water for like elemental reasons. Um, Symbolically elemental, of course, not literally. There, the bodies quickly decompose, and the water is used to irrigate the abundant Sultai farmland. Huh. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I mean, I guess like if you're used to it, it's one of like there's a. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Yeah. Specialized priests. I just wouldn't drink that water, but I mean, probably would make good fertilizer. Specialized priests will watch over these grave sites, weaving necromantic magic to ensure the bodies decompose properly. Someone said this looks like league art, and yeah, it kind of does. I think part of it is, well, one, it's like the way it's maybe it's the way it's framed, but also just like the art loves doing the I guess glow from under. Here again, we have a lot of color coding again: purple, turquoise, for blue and green. Um, where gold was previously used to like represents basically the white alignment, and here in the Sultai just sort of represent like sort of previously to represent wealth. I guess it's a bit more different now. It's not just wealth; it's like kind of like beauty, I guess. Once again, you have more of like the shapes, like so these flow to form like sort of like curved, sharp shapes. Even the rocks are sort of like this kind of curved shape that ends in a point. I don't know if these are lotuses. It's hard to tell because they're all glowy, but I mean, obviously this is very simple like artistic technique where this just highlights the person like they're in a big fuck off like glowy circle. So you're gonna look at them and then their eyes are glowing, so like it looks like they're like there's a draws a connection between them and then like the stuff glowing around them. It's not like they're like caught in a trap or something. Like this is them doing it. Interesting that this is like crawling up their hand. Um, Bit of asymmetry here because they don't have a gauntlet here, but they have a gauntlet here, like up to their. I don't know if it goes up to their, but they have like a wrist guard here, not one here. Um, Once again, like I said, more they love like the swoopy triangle shape, or diamond shape, diamond or triangle. Like even the shoulders convey that. Even the headpiece, even the hair is like designed like to have that curve, the signature curve of like the Sultai. Um, After someone's passing, friends and family members will often carry a possession of the deceased on them for a full harvest season. This is a reminder of their passing and aids in their ritual returning to the cycle. Seasonal so cycle is interesting. Like it's green again, emphasis on the cycle. Seasonal celebrations. The mild year-round climate and highly organized agricultural system means the Sulta have two annual harvest and planting seasons staggered from each other: the spring rotation and the fall rotation. The combined harvest and planting event is a highly anticipated clan-wide activity, marked by a religious festival. The rotation often includes large feasts and various performances and ritual ceremony performed by a priest to ensure a good growing season. So I think this emphasis on religion and tradition could also maybe be an influence of green. Like white also has like a really big emphasis on religion, and not to say that black or blue can't be religious; they can be very religious. It's just the reasons tend to be a little bit different. So here, you could see the priests as being like I've talked about the humans and Innistrad. Like it could be for the same reason there, like a tradition basically of faith. Um, Sultai magic. Sultai magics. Sultai magic primarily revolves around the manipulation of life essence, using it to weaken or strengthen, to harm or heal, as desired by the wielder. Magic users are also adept at divination through speaking with the essence of the dead and interaction with the remains. Most mages undergo formal training under the most skilled necromancers in their village. Particularly promising mages may travel to the Kira city to train under the most powerful of the Sultai, including Naga teachers. So, life essence. I think the life essence is supposed to represent the duality of green and black, where green has like the green supposed to emphasize like towards the life, like the natural cycle and like the world as it is. So it emphasizes the life, and then black emphasizes like the death, like being willing to use death, but also a little bit of green there because it's like death is a part, it's a natural part of the world. It's something that you shouldn't fight. And then the divination is probably mostly like blue, like speaking through with dead and divination to get more information is probably like blue. And then speaking with the dead is like blue black. So yeah, once again, more like curvy shapes, like curvy shapes, ends and points. And then we have the snake. The snake acts sort of like the frame here, where it's like swooping around. So like you're like, what's the snake guarding? And it's like guarding this person here. And then the person has like snake motifs, but also like swoopy, pointy shapes, and it's blocking these arrows. Um, there's something behind the person. I don't know. This doesn't look like part of the purple stick. I don't know what this is behind the person. But obviously the Sultai and Jeskai both look less bulky than the like Abzan. Like the Abzan so far have looked the bulkiest in terms of their costume design. The Jeskai are they're less bulky, but they're very flowy. They have a lot of flowing bits. The Sultai also have flowing bits, but they're a lot less like they're a lot more form fitting. Like it's really like they have their sleeves, yeah, but like they're not like as flowy as the Jeskai. The Jeskai have like they usually have like a bunch of like cloth flowing off. Like look at here, like a lot more form fitting. And if you go back to like the Jeskai, like a lot more flowy bits, especially like below here. Um, the Sultai's relationship to dragons and Dragonstorms. Dragon Hunt. The Sultai maintain a wide network of spies and scouts who relay information to aid the clan in protecting the timing and location of the next Dragonstorm, predicting the timing and location of the next Dragonstorm. So it's once again blue. It's like the idea of trying to like use knowledge to your advantage. Like by focusing on knowledge, you can try to like figure out things before they happen. So you try to predict the timing and location of the next Dragonstorm. Many scouts are trained to observe subtle changes in the weather that indicate storms approaching. While others spy on the activities of the clans to predict their movements. So once again, a big emphasis on information, both on like blue also has an emphasis on like the sky and flyers because the water and air association, but also like the idea of like kind of like blue, like Demir style, like blue black, like figure out what your opponents are doing and then try to beat them to it. When capturing wild dragons, the Sultai will often arrive in much smaller numbers than the other clans and wait for another clan to subdue the dragon before launching an ambush to pick off the now weakened force and take the dragons themselves. All right, well, I mean, something's never changed, I guess, which is which is being sneaky. I mean, that's like the Demir side coming out. Clan dragons. Designated warriors and mages care for the most dragons. Many participate in religious festivals and act as guardians of the village alongside the Naga. They tend to select Sultai dragons for their lithe and adaptable builds. So once again, like I said, they have like a lot of even their symbols are kind of lithe. Like the Abzan are kind of blocky because they're like a diamond, and then the Jeskai have like a circle, and then lithe is like more. They're like their shapes tend to be more serpentine. Like even the Fang is like their Fang is a bit more like a serpentine design. Like you interpret this as like a head, like a snake's head, and then it's curling around itself. Um, I mean, it's supposed to be a dragon's fang, but I'm saying it has like a dual meaning where you could interpret that also as like a snake, like curling around itself, like a snake head and a fang, or like a snake curling around itself. Um, they tend to select Sultai dragons to allow them to live in dense jungles where prolonged flight can be challenging. So, I mean, green doesn't have a lot of flyers, so that could be a possible explanation for why we might be seeing some green dragons that can't fly. We'll see. Sultai dragons tend to be skillful ambush hunters. The Sultai select some dragons purely for their beauty and grace. Though that does not stop them from being just as deadly. The Sultai dragons wield noxious poison breath that envelops their enemies and often suffocates them before they die from the toxins. So, I mean, black and green both have an emphasis like death touch and poison. Mostly because the idea is like for green, it's like using your natural defenses. Like if you're naturally poisonous, you should use that because that's like a part of you. And then black's like you do whatever it takes to win, including using poison. Um, the beauty once again feels like feels like a little bit like more like black in the way it's supposed to like display power or influence, but I might be wrong there. Um, so yeah, like the dragons are more lithe, like emphasis on like these claws at the end. Um, sitting on a pile of gold. Yeah, dragons love their gold. Once again, we see like more of the pointed shapes of the Sultai, like even here the scales, and this dragon is being highlighted by the light above, making it the main character. It's like, and then there's people down here, but they're covered like in shadow, and you can't see their faces, so they're less important. In this acts kind of like this like I think it's a drape. It could be a drape or a gate. It's kind of hard to tell. This could be. You could argue this is acting kind of like the frame. Like this is the highlight, and then within that, you have the frame that focuses on the dragon's head, so it brings attention to the head. And then back here, you have like the you have pillars, and then and then um the Dragonstorms have resulted in rising water levels throughout the Sultai territory. They have leveraged this to their advantage, building. So there's just global warming happening on Tarkir. Building raised cities on stilts over flooded ruins. Like nothing go to waste. Once again, emphasis on like not being wasteful, both like black and green, but also like blue is like sort of like change the world around you. So like blue is like the idea like, oh, we can like figure out a way to survive in this new like this, and black's like, yeah, we can. Let's use anything we can. Then green's like, make sure you don't waste anything. Um Along with black. Sultai mages will also adapt the jungle to the storms, manipulating plant life to direct the rains, water crops, and protecting homes. So once again, that feels like the influence of blue, like the idea that you can kind of control the world around you. The plant life thing is probably also green because green just has an emphasis on like controlling plants and magic, but um, an idea of like, using what's already existing. But like manipulating storms, watering crops tends to be an association like with blue because of the water association. Locations: the majority of Sultai is in a massive river delta located in the south of the continent. Sultai direct territory borders that of the Marduk, Abzan, and Jeskai clans. Huh, borders a lot. Does it? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. There's like a color pipe order for like who they border, but I don't think there is. I mean, I guess black, green, blue. Um, the climate of the Sultai is primarily tropical, humid, and warm almost all year round, with large storms in the winter. Yeah, so these look like mangrove trees, I think, but this obviously looks like some sort of land, probably. And then obviously the artist once you look at it is just highlighted in like golden light. Like you're like, hey, what's the important part of this piece? And it's like these are obviously the most important parts. Like they want you to see like the golden houses, and then behind them is like the ruins of like the old civilization, almost like this is like it's trying to emphasize this like this is the world as it is now, and like it's built atop like the remains of the old. Like this is new and shiny, and these are like old and like have less influence. Um, Obviously like the island meant to draw your attention. Everything else is like there's not a lot of detail, and like anything like the sky's pretty like it's really well rendered. It's just like not a lot going on, and then you have like the water. It's probably some sort of island. If there's an island card, I believe you. Um, Keru City, the central city of the Sultai. Keru was built around what was once the Keru Temple complex. The Keru Temple complex and is located within the waterways of the River Delta, a beautiful city of large stone buildings, bustling markets, warrior practice grounds, and schools for magical training. So it sounds probably like blue, a little bit of blue there, because just with the relation to water and also how much blue loves like magic, like cares about instants and sorceries a lot. Um, Karsi Palace, located in Keru City, the palace has been repurposed since Limgar's rule to be the central of the Sultai government. Botanical gardens within are renowned, showcasing an abundance of carefully cultivated one of a kind plants. So I mean, the obvious take is probably green because grass and like plants. Um, Kishla Stilt Village, a small fishing village located in the swamps built on stilts over the waterways. The rising waters have flooded many of the old buildings and ruins scattered around the vibrant town. So the swamps probably some relation to black, because we know how like meant likes to associate swamps with black mana. Goodall Islands, a series of small islands that dot the massive river delta. They are rife with dangerous creatures, and many wild dragons claim portions of this territory. Uh, Gurmog Swamp, a belt of treacherous swampland that encircles the upper portions of the Sultai territory. Meringue River, created from snowmelt. The Meringue River is one of the largest rivers running through the Sultai territory. Sagu Forest, at the end of Sultai territory. So, also apologies from mispronouncing these. You can leave your corrections in the comments. Sagu Forest is not officially controlled by the Sultai. Considered the ancestral home of the Naga, it is vast, lush jungle that is still mostly unknown. Many enormous beasts beyond comprehension dwell there. How big is that? If there's whatever. Bloom Vine Jungle, the largest contiguous jungle of the Sultai territory, filled with towering trees, a variety of animals. The Meringue River runs through the jungle, and many villages are nestled within the trees. Bloom Vine provides much of the agricultural dependence of the Sultai. I think contiguous just means like continuous. Like it's like the jungle's not broken up by anything. Like just like yeah, it's like all the jungles like next to each other. It's not so it's saying like it's one continuous jungle. Like you could walk straight through and it'd be just jungle, and then you wouldn't like run into like basically a city. And then here we have the Mardu. The Mardu dragons are looking kind of interesting. I mean, they've always had the lightning association, but they look more lean. So maybe more emphasis on the wings. But we'll get to them later. There is one funny Mardu image. I didn't read it, but I did. I just like scrolled these to like daily life. This is me like on a Monday. My parents like throwing me out of bed. Anyway, that's all for now. We'll cover the Mardu next time, and then after that, of course, the team. I'll see you guys later.